Hey guys, I thought I'd go over the approach 16 program real quick in case you guys had some questions about it. But after you after you run that setup program, by default it puts all the tools in your C drive under program files x86 approach 16. For this video, I installed it and put it on my D drive, but by default, you'll be on your C drive. So there's some tools here inside the folder and database files, but the tools or the applications, I'll quickly run through those, of course. Approach 16, that's the program, right? And you have another application called DClock. Double click that. That's the win percentage direction clock here. Right. The other application, MagnaFixer, double click that. I'm sure you guys know what that's about. If you don't, it reads the location of the screen, which we use to read the windsock. Right. The other application is the putter version 3. It's a separate putting program, so even if you have your own spreadsheets, you don't use approach 16 thing, you've got a putter calculator if you need it. The next one is a screen ruler, right? That's this. It measures the height of the ball. I use this to apply spin to the ball and record it. The other thing we have is the XN timer, right? And that's your little stopwatch for counting the dot speed, right? All right. So we'll position some other tools around here. Kind of put our screen. All right. For those who don't know about the MagnaFixer, it will sit and read a location of the screen that you select. So if you right-click it, you'll see that there's an option here. The fixed location is checked, which means it's constantly reading a location of where I last checked it, right? So if I say I want my screen up here higher, right? Well, earlier, I had this MagnaFixer reading it down here. So I want to reread the location, right? So I right-click it. I turn it off, right? And the keystrokes are Control F, right? So now it's turned off, and now it's going to read anywhere I point my mouse, right? So I'll make sure you've got this selected, move it around a little bit, and go get the windsock. Don't click the mouse button, though. Just put it over where you want to read it, and then you press Control F. Right? Now, that is reading that location, right? So now I got my windsock, right? And I can position my DClock over that, right? And my ruler down here for reading the ball height. So when I put spin on the ball and record it, I don't use 90% of spin. I use 0.25 on the ruler. I might not use 45%. I split it down the center, 1.0 on the ruler, right? That way, when I'm looking at the program on previous data, if it says, oh, you had a shot at, they went that pin distance at, 1.25 of spin, well, I know right away, there's 1.25, 1.5, 1.75, 2. So I can quickly put the spin on the ball without trying to remember the amount of spin and what kind of amount that spin was, in my old age. So that's how that works. So the first thing you need to do is, since the program uses under maintenance the master ball file, this is the 87 ball, so it's got all the carry numbers that were mapped, right? So if your spin is equivalent to the 87 ball, then you need to put in your own carry numbers that you have for your equipment, right? And in order to do that, right, you could delete it if you wanted to, and then put in a new record. Or I find it might be easier just to go ahead and type something over. So let's say now you mapped your pitching wedge in the fairway, right? And whatever spin that you put on. In this case, I had a 50% of spin, right? So I know right away that, right, there's 50% of spin, right? There's 5-0. That's how I log in my shots, right? And it makes it quick and simple, right? And it carried 113 yards with that spin, right? But let's say yours, say yours carries 110, right? Well, you could select this record, and you would use these navigator buttons to control it. And the most common ones is, the plus key to put a brand new record in, the minus key to delete a record if you wanted to. The little pyramid is for editing a record. So my ball 113, but yours, when you key it in, went 111. So highlight it, edit it, and these are the edit fields down here. So you would come down and say, mine goes 111, right? And then you would click the green check mark to save it, right? So when these are in yellow, you're editing the record, right? You save it. When you're out of edit mode or insert mode, they turn back to orange, right? So it kind of lets you know, right? So I'm going to go back and change mine to 113, right? 113. And I'll save it again. The other thing is the AAM, which is the apex aim multiplier. That's is what the number of grid movement calculation uses. By putting a 1 there, it says, use 100% of the aim calculation, right? So let's say your club, your pitching wedge at, 0.5 or 75% of spin, and it told you to move it, over here it told you to move it 2 grids on your shot, right? And you find out that Christ, your ball went an extra half a grid over to the left. It went 2.5. You can come back in here and change it again and say, well, at 100%, it's off. It's actually moving it more, right? So what I want to do is I want to lessen that up. So instead of 2.2 grids over and it went 2.5, I really only want it to, move, 1.5 grids or something. So I could cut that down. So let's say only use 95% of the aim multiplier. So instead of 2, it will only use 95% of 2, right? Or vice versa. Say it was too short. Well, I want to use 110% of this multiplier. So now instead of 2, it might say, all right, now you got to move it 2.25, right? I would leave it at 1. We got to edit this. So I got to leave it at 1, which is 100%. Until you get used to how, if it's off, or if it's even worth adjusting, right? And this ball file is a graphic file. It gets displayed for the ball that you're using. That you got to snip the image out. So if you look in the approach16 folder again, you'll see there's a file called My Ball. And it's a PNG file, right? You just use the window snip tool, and you snip out a ball, whatever it might be. You get your image from WGT, looking at your inventory or whatever. You say, my profile, right? The ball I'm looking at, there's my ball, I'm going to snip it with the Windows snip tool, right? I'm going to use that ball, right? Boom. So now you snipped it out, you know, you go to save it, right? And you go to that folder where the approach16 folder is, right? So again, remember that was under that, approach16, right? And you would name it this, right? Boom. And you would just overwrite it. Save it. Yeah, I want to overwrite it, right? So okay, boom. That's there. Now that's saved, right? We'll minimize that. So now you see that it's still got the old image because the program needs to reload it. So when I came back into the screen, now it's got the new graphic file. So you guys can put your 48 balls or whatever, 61s or 80s, whatever you want in there. The other thing, when you want to edit a location, there's one thing that you should always keep and never change, and that's this T for location, right? That's how the program knows that this map data of 113 yards was mapped off to T with full backspin, right? And any other location could be anything else you want. Just make sure that your map T's always have a location T, right? If you have par 4s that you can drive the green with off the T, then I put in a location called off T. And what that allows me to do is put my driver distances in as a fairway shot, right? So now I'm hitting off the T and I know I can drive the fairway, you know. The program will find this off T, right? So you can also name it something different. That doesn't matter. You could call it, hitting from a par 4 or whatever you want to call it. Doesn't matter. But the only thing you really need to keep is the T, right? If you want to add your own different locations, right? You can just key in something. I'm hitting out of the water, whatever you want, and it'll save it when you exit out. So, say you're adding a new record, right? Boom. And the ball location T. Well, you don't have to key anything in the location. Just select something from the list that you created, right? I'm hitting the ball out of the water, right? I'm hitting it from the sand. I'm hitting it out of the rough 20-30, I'm hitting it off the tee. I'm hitting it in the fairway, And you can add as many as you want, all right? I am going to cancel this. That's what the red X means, just to cancel this edit, because I don't want to add that in there. That's kind of goofy. So I'll get rid of this, all right? And it'll be gone, so next time I come in here, it won't show up, all right? So here's where you add all your locations that you might want to use that are not listed. And you can add as many as you want. Again, just leave T alone. Don't change it. Right? Get your map data set up for your ball. And then you're set to go. Right? You close this out. Because with the T, what you do is when you come into par 3s, you would have this tee shot data clicked. Checked on, checked off. When it's checked on, it's only going to use those location shots from a tee. Right? Unchecked, it will use all your locations that are not from a tee. Right? Okay. So now you've got that all keyed in. You've got your information keyed in. Right? You positioned the database to the right course, right? You are on Pebble Beach, number 1. Or you can go up high if you want. But anyway, Pebble Beach, number 1, right? So I'm going to check something out, make sure I'm not, check my video camera here thing. Alright, then I'm still recording. You know, because when I keyed in a note, I had the space bar as a pause. And damn it, if I didn't pause the video and never restarted it. So, but anyway, this is the note field. You can just type in anything you want, and it's specific to the course and the hole, right? Okay. So, we've got everything set. The first thing we do is, before we hit, or while somebody else is teeing off, is we just set the wind. So, we check it. Is it a tail or a headwind? It's a headwind, right? What's the average speed? Well, it's 12 miles per hour, right? Wind percentage? We're not worried about that yet, right? Joe Blow hit before us, or, you know, we're getting ready to hit, or whatever. But we got that set before we even hit, right? We go ahead with, you know, position our aimer, we hit the shot, and hopefully it's in the fairway. Or it's in the rough, or where the hell it's going to go, I don't know. Alright, so it's in the fairway. Alright. That's a good start. Now we worry about the percentage, right? So, as you see in the percentage, it's still a headwind, but it's, you know, 1 or 2%. And this works around Babsilla's wind percentage calculations, right? So as you look, right, starting at 3 and 9, it's 1%, and then it works its way up to 100%, right? And then, of course, it works its way back down to 1%, and then it works its way back up to 100%, works its way back down. But I put these angles in here just kind of so you might visualize it, but it's pretty simple. And I made it even more simple, you know. The red dots, if it's crossing the red dot, you know, that's 50% of the wind, no matter what red dot it's going to cross, right? And then the yellow dots, you know, they're like 12%, basic 12.5. I just call them 12, right? So that's 12%. And it's not going to matter if, you know, it's 14%, you know, 1 or 2%, 3%. It's really not going to affect it that much. But that's how that works, right? And you'll see that now that's 75% coming through from the 1 o'clock, right? So we position this, and we've got this set up, and right away it looks like, you know, 0. Well, we can't have 0. You got to at least have 1. And it's not going to affect it much, right? So 1%, and then before I hit enter, I look at the elevation, right? It's 4 up. Make sure it's uphill. It's not downhill. It's uphill 4, right? So now I key in the shot, 53, 4 up. I press enter. Now I can press enter again, and it will give me the shot. Or if I move over, just move the mouse over the circle. Just hover it, move it over. It's going to update it no matter what. So let's say I'm at 15 up, right? Before I could just move the mouse and it's going to recalculate it if I'm anywhere in this area, right? Key it back to 4, swipe the mouse, I'm 54, right? It says that the 75, I left a note, it's going to back up a little bit, right? So it told me, I got a shot here, right? This is a shot it came up with that's closest to the 53, right? And that was out of the sand. Well, I'm not in the sand. I don't want that one. So between these two buttons, you can go to the next club, or you can go to the prior club, right? So, prior is going to go less. Of course, for yardage, and next is going to go higher. Well, the 50-yard punch, I had the punch mapped at 100% for 50 yards, right? Based on this conditions of the wind, yardage, and elevation, the blue, or the adjusted power, says I need to hit it 108%, right? So right away, that's not right. You try to match these numbers in between, 90, 98, 99, 100, 101 to match this. to what you mapped it at, right? Go to the next club, 108. Here's 97. No, I'm not in the rough. No. Here's a 60 wedge right here. 90% it says, right? 90.3 based on it. Okay, well, I got my 60 wedge, and it was mapped with no spin, right? And it's telling me to move it at 1.1, right? So there's one grid. Well, it's about 1. But I know it's going to back up a little bit because of that, my note, right? So I know that there's about 54% right about there, right? So I'm going to go just a tad more because it's supposed to back up a little bit, right? I hit that a tad early, so I'm going to miss it on the other side. But it's going to be all right because, see, it backs up. So based on your note, you might hit that even harder. But that's the key part of the note here. So, it's going to be, you're going to have to learn the greens and adjustments and everything. So, all right. So now for the putting, it's a separate calculation, separate program. So we're on green speed of 12. We'll change that to 12. And we're at 9.8. We're uphill elevation 3.5, right? If we were downhill, we would have keyed in at negative 3.5. Very important, right? So 3.5, right? So the calculator will, if it's under 15, it will set it to 15. Over 15 to 30, it's going to set it to 30. Vice versa, up to 60, up to 100, whatever. But what it would do is if it's over 65% of the power meter, it's going to change it to red, and it's going to alert you that, hey, you got to hit over 60% of power on your meter. Maybe you don't want to do that, right? So, which we don't, so we'll change it to 30, right? Now it's 37. And don't be a dummy like me and forget to change it to a 30 down here, WGT. If you wanted to count the dots, there's not much movement here going here, but anyway, you got your 2 keys on this. You got your 2 hotkeys, start and stop it, X, and reset it, Z. If you guys use this timing before, you know all that. So we'll go ahead and we'll just count the dots just for the sake of it. And you know what? We'll look at this little dot here. We'll wait for it to cross the line here. Okay, so that's stopped. 11.26, well, let's just call it 11.3. Why not, right? So now it's 22% of the grid. The program went back and changed it to 15. We want to make sure we change it back to 30. And that's 30. We're uphill, there's a half, right? And maybe about 25, right about there. And about 22. Well, that's probably pretty close. 22, 37%. All right, we'll hit it there. Tried to ding it, and nope, we had it over too much. But anyway, that's how that works. I think I got, there was one other thing, was the bunker. But you know what, I'm not going to apply another one in and hit it into the bunker. I can't do that. The other thing is the bunker right here. So let's say you're on the green and you hit it into the bunker, and you went ahead and did the calculation. You're 26 away, and it's 3 feet up, and you calculated it's at 26. So if you show the bunker, what that would show you is a full shot of your 60, right? So it'd be your 60, full backspin. And if you're in 30-40, in the sand, you would hit that shot around 63%. If you were in 40-50, you would hit that full shot, backspin, 67%, and 71 for 50-60. This gets you out of the bunker, gets you close, and depending upon how the green rolls, if you're rolling downhill quite a bit or something, you might have to adjust a little bit, but all in all, it's a pretty good bunker calculator. It's taken from Mapzilla, and I like it a lot. It gets me out of trouble sometimes, or most of the time it will get me out of trouble, and it's not too bad. So I believe I covered everything to help you guys out. The only other thing, of course, is, say you're playing a tournament or closest to hole thing, you could set up a new tournament, a new course, And the way I do it is, I give it a course name and then a hole number, for each hole. But you could set up your own a separate tournament course or something that you're having that's not listed in here, but that's how that works. And of course the navigation buttons are the same as they are in the ball maintenance file. So, well, I hope it helps you guys out, explains a little bit about it. So good luck if you use it, and I hope I answered your questions. What other one would it be? Oh, I think I covered it with the bunker tee shots. If you have that checked, it's going to save it, like St. Andrews 14, right? And you move off of it. If it's not a par 3, don't have it checked, and you'll see that the tee box says it's false. But let's say you're at, real quick here, we'll go to Congressional, huh? Let's go up here, page up here. Yeah. So let's say you're at Congressional, right? And you see how it's already set to true? Well, I had it checked when I played it that it was a par 3. So when you come into your par 3s, if you've already had it checked once, it saves it. So that explains that. And of course, this over here, again, the blue is the adjusted power based on your mapped carry against your mapped power, and this is the adjusted power based on the conditions of the wind and such against your yardage, your carry at this percentage. So I hope that helps out. Alright guys, hope you have a good day, and I hope things work out for you. Talk to you later. Bye.